So hello everyone. Welcome to an episode of replay analysis with Epicdeath. So he's helping me to get a better player and check some of my replays. As I have made a little vouch request, but I doesn't fulfill all the requirements yet. So Epic, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. $50 an hour and no worries. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, got a bit of free time because I'm still in lockdown down under. So that's all right. I figured, why not? Not a
Yeah.
mod, so my opinion doesn't matter that much. But I think Jen will have some understanding, and I used to be a mod as well, so I know the whole setup. Warring Kingdoms, Nidalee, nice background.
Yeah, thank you. How long is the lockdown?
Uh,
I didn't.
I should know, but I don't. It depends on our vaccine targets, so it's a bit in the air. Probably
This is
we've been in
because of
lockdown for a
Corona?
couple of months now. Probably got another month. Yeah, because of the
Uh,
Rona.
okay. I mean, in Germany we had the same. We were locked down for like 6 or 9 months.
Yeah, but you guys got rid of most of it last year. We're just having it happen now.
God damn it! Yeah, I hope you are free soon.
Yeah,
So
I
that
mean it's alright. I'm doing some classes and whatnot all online, so I'm keeping kind of busy, working out more as well at home because I figured I probably should. Don't want to get too fat.
yeah, that's understandable. So that's an older replay,
Yeah,
but
I saw my coach recently actually, and it's just like, yeah, make sure you keep exercising. Jordan, what are you trying to say?
I know that's a really good game. So we start with a good game from me.
Yeah, sure. All right, so you
So
got NG Panda, Crab Flying, Night Lord. I mean, yeah, this is like you can start a wisp and look at your team, or you can just immediately put the LOD down. It doesn't matter because you know you're never playing anything besides that here.
yep. So I was starting a wisp, and that's just a shit
Now,
roll. Should
back
be
in 10
re-rolled.
secs.
Mhm.
Yeah, sorry about that. Can you go through again? Okay, so
Yep.
that's
That's a
drop
re-roll, most
reroll.
likely.
Yeah,
Yes. That can be played Crusader Ice Troll or something, but should be also
I
a
think that's a
re-roll.
reroll really on free.
And that's a playable
That's
roll, also LOD.
Yeah, he's keeping LOD. He can play it with Wendigo Night Saber, or he can re-roll it early, but he's starting LOD, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
loving LOD. I love
Yeah, for
it.
sure. The nice thing about double LOD start is you can pretty happily just king most of the time
Yep.
and feel pretty good about that. Okay, ship infantry. It's a really good roll. Easy to play.
Yep. And I think he will re-roll as well, right? Place and
Yeah, you'd
re-roll.
assume so.
Mhm.
Okay, so he's probably playing like a wagon mix.
Spitter, I think, as far as I remember.
Yeah, wagon spider. Maybe keeps the ice draw.
So we start with a good replay now, and then we do a really bad game from me, I think, where I can learn much. So I learned from Vikan. He told me a lot of stuff that simply you should try as push as much as you can, even if you have a holder roll. You can also push as much as you can in the early game, YOLO it, and then get hold 10 and get really fat into mid game. And that's what I like with most of my rolls.
Yep, fair enough. That's a good way to do it. Can also just speed it up if we're just waiting for
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and everything is
King 10.
going well in this game.
Yep.
They send warriors into double LOT.
Oh, some warriors. Happy days.
Mhm.
So obviously you've got two mids here. Ship's leaking hard, and the wagon guy's leaking a fair bit. Not that much, but whatever.
So I'm
So you
sharing the
get fed
feed.
here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's totally fine though. Yeah, so you got options now. You can try an early send, or you can just attack after fog. You can kind of do whatever you want at this point.
Yep.
And then just adjust the way you play according to that. This is one of the best things about LOD, is it's really flexible. And obviously when you get the opportunity to push early, it's really nice. So it's probably time to start a lumberjack though instead with that 10 gold you got spare. Just because you got a wisp going and you got 10 gold. So there's not a reason to not have a lumberjack instead.
I see.
Unless you're exactly going to build like 160 whatever gold, but I don't know, I'd probably just add a flying machine at this point that I get a probably free level 3 and 4.
Exactly, that's exactly my place of
Yeah, so you
flying
can be
machine.
3-1 instead of 4-0 here.
Okay.
Unless you're planning to send on 3. Like if you're planning to send on 3, then honestly I would probably still go 3-1 and then just do the Blood Orc a bit later, because I think you'd still be able to reach it. But you know, it's fine. Actually, I don't think you would reach the Blood Orc if you're sending 3.
Our plan is to send 5 now.
Yep. So flying machine 3, that's totally fine. Just click on the flying and the LOD, and then the LOD for a sec. Hover the range. Just hover over the range. So yeah, 400 range on that. That's a bit less, isn't it? Yeah. I'd be careful with putting the flying right behind the LOD. If you go in the helicopter, it's like pretty fine. Because obviously it gets like double the HP. But just if you're planning to stay on a flying machine for like level 5, 6, I'd probably put it one more spot behind, just so it doesn't run out in front.
Like here, right?
Yeah, since you're going with the helicopter route, that's fine. But I would personally still put it a little further behind.
It has less range, so it might walk here in front.
It's like on a range level, it's always going to, but it's more just if you like right off the wall into the middle of the which is the one you don't want to see.
Sorry, can you repeat that? That you
if
lagged?
the LOD like spawns the infernal and then it like walks into the middle of the lane sometimes, like this one a little bit, see, and then your flying machine is like hovering on top of the LOD. If there was a blood orc going along the wall, could hit the flying machine before the LOD, which is not what you want, right?
No.
Just as an example to show you why I think it's often better to place it a little further behind. That being said, since you're upgrading into helicopter, it gets more HP. It's relatively fine. It definitely makes that placement better, not worse.
Okay.
But that's really minor. Yep, so you just push here, that's totally fine. Do we have a lumberjack in queue yet? I hope so, probably. Yep, good.
It just finished. Yeah.
Beautiful. So you're just thinking about whether you need cover on 4. So let's check the rest of your lanes. Okay, you go crab on level 4. Let's check the rest of your lanes. So he's probably clearing to Dark Troll, leaking to Blood Orc. Yep. He's clearing like any send. Oh, he's clearing Dark Troll, leaking Blood Orc. Next. And he's probably mid. It's like fine to do the crab. I probably wouldn't personally, but it's fine.
It's more of a.
But I guess with a double LOD scout, like it makes sense for as a potential resend if they do have enough push for it. So like, yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
You can make the argument that like, blue is mid, so you don't really, and like the other lanes do fine, so you don't really need it. But then if they do send and you don't build anything, you do like quite a bit. So it's relatively fine. I think I wouldn't do it, but I don't mind it. It's definitely not like strictly bad. Okay, yeah, can keep going.
Yeah, it's more a bit of a safety crap, and my queue was full of ups.
Yeah. One thing about the placement, I would place it next to the flying machine just to try and get the main body of the LOD sharing a little bit of damage. See these like first pigs, if they hit the LOD instead of the crab, it's a little bit better for you.
Like
but
here?
It's really minor.
Okay.
Yeah, just next to the flying machine basically, because it's probably not hanging around long term anyway.
Okay. So speeding it up a little bit.
Yeah. 5-2, yeah, 6-2, totally fine. You're ditching the crab for the flying.
Yep, we are sending here, that's why I'm going 7-1.
Oh yeah, that makes sense, okay.
What I always do, like a lot, sometimes I'm always queuing push, and then I'm thinking what to do, and then I cancel it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to do if it's like in terms of efficiency. If you're like, if they king leak, then I get a wisp, blah blah blah, then yeah, it's good to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going Hades, so you know you're
Yep.
safe relatively safe 1 mid 5 and 6.
I told him before that I will YOLO and he can OB if he likes, and that's what he
Yep.
did.
Okay.
And also, that's the player is known that
Yes,
he
I
likes
am
to
aware.
OB.
Okay, so it looks like your helicopter's in a really good spot here. I say really good.
It's sharing the aggro.
Yeah, no, that's about what you want. Okay, so you're just waiting for the lumber to push here. You can be unlucky in leak with this, but it looks like you're doing fine. Or you're leaking a couple of creeps, maybe? I don't
It's
know.
exact hold.
Crazy.
15 HP.
Yeah, not bad, for sure. Not the biggest fan of LOD helicopter in general, but this game it's definitely fine because you got the free level 1. It pretty much frees you up to just like try and go for no dead value into no dead value for level 10.
Exactly.
Is a
That's
good way to do it.
always my I'm always considering when I build, is it good for level 10 and is it good in mid game also?
Yeah, with this sort of a role, you can do that. You wouldn't be able to play it like this if they didn't send 1, but because they did, you just get away with it really nicely. So they have Greymane with Privateer and Shockwave. That's pretty fine for you. I'd be thinking like firm at Whelp on 7 kind of angle, but you can do lots of things. Oh yeah, Vimo, so you can just fucking full 7, hey?
Yeah.
If you want.
I mean, everything is going well. They sent LOD into Warriors. They sent Warriors into LOD. And we
Double,
get
yeah.
ammo while I decided to push. That's
Yeah, no, 100% correct to go 7-3. The only question is, did you have a good timing on it? Ooh. With that 70 gold, I would have just built and upgraded an engineer here.
okay.
That would have been pretty fine just having that.
I,
Okay.
I wasn't
so here,
I wasn't sure if this holds or not. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you could have done like 3 things, including what you did. So I think the best thing to do would just be to keep that 7-3, run it through. And as soon as you see 70 gold, you're like, yep, sweet, upgraded engineer, done. Doing fine on 6, happy days. I think option number 2 would be to go for just go for 1 crab, because 1 crab really should be holding here or coming very close to. Because the nice thing about helicopter actually takes an increment off the LOD, and so does flying machine, so does captain, takes an increment off the main LOD body on 6, which makes it a lot more effective as a damage dealer, just from the aura.
Yeah.
So I think you would have been fine with 1 crab. Oh, you actually went down to 1 crab.
Yeah,
Good.
somebody said
And the placement, once again, it should be either behind the helicopter on the wall or next to the helicopter. A little further back, because now it's going to...
Here.
Yeah, because now what it's going to do is it's going to move out a bit further in front than you want it, and it's going to start to drag the LOD and the helicopter off the wall. It's going to start to drag the helicopter in front of the LOD. So not things you're really looking for.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So the placement's a little bit off, but, it's okay. I definitely think you could have just run that push through and been pretty safe.
Exactly, because we want
But
leaks.
At this point,
we want leaks.
I mean, it's not even your job to leak. It's just the most efficient way. But at this point, you should probably just stay 7-2, sell the crap, get a Hades. For 7. You should never expect the freehold, but you can snipe some sends like that. And it feels better to kill the sends on 7 rather than just like pushing light. So at this point, you just stay 7-2 and it's pretty fine. You know they're going to send, so you can't expect a hold. Well, you should expect that they send, so you can't expect a hold, but you can still kill some creeps, get some money that way, and it's pretty fine.
So I was sure LOD copter, it barely holds 5, and LOD is like not that great on 6, so I wasn't sure if it holds or not, and that's why
you definitely needed an
grabs. Yeah.
definitely need an ad. But yeah, just the one crab is enough, or just the upgraded scientist with the early push is also enough, most likely. You can see LOD always 4-shotting with the helicopter's aura, rather than a small chance to 4-shot, mostly 5-shotting.
Okay. But then I prefer the crab because I like to sell it and have then no kind of dead
Yeah,
value.
no, I agree. The only upside was to the engineer over the crab was the fact that you get 30 extra seconds on your lumberjack.
Yeah.
And honestly, the fact that mutant on 10 is like potentially an angle if you wanted to go for like a 7-5 or 7-4 and that way, which you probably don't this game really. Anyway, ditch the crab for the Hades. Yep, easy. Happy days. I wouldn't bother with the tier 1 here. I don't think it really does much. You could like build it and upgrade it if you thought you'd get a freehold, but that should never happen after the level 5. So
Nope.
yeah, I think it's better not to build it. The other thing about building the crab is it takes you from 13 food to 14 food, which means, or the engineer, sorry, it'll take you from 13 to 14 food, which means you can't build an LOD on 8 anymore without upgrading the farm.
Yeah.
Because at this point you probably want an LOD on 8. Or you can go for the push, add like flying machine or whatever on 8 or push. It's like, it's fine either way. But if you stay in 7-2, it's LOD on 8. Yeah, I'd say you're doing like relatively as expected. You snipe the non-dark troll sands, you kill some creeps.
Snipe.
You know, it's 7-2, so you're happy. If it was 5-1, it's crap.
Yeah. I sniped one hermit.
Yep. Hades is pretty good at sniping. Anyway, they leak a fair bit. One mid with Shockwave. Shockwave's a bit too early, a bit too greedy. Definitely should have tried to hit more creeps with that rather than helping out their mid. So it was a greedy Shockwave by the KC. Anyway, I can just speed through this, like, because we can see the heal count next on the scoreboard now, which is convenient.
I think we lose 2 heals. It's a fairly big set. Ah, 1 heal, it's 1.
Yeah, 1 heal. There's also blue not quite holding this end. It's like he overbuilt early, which was fine. But it's, you know, a bit awkward because he then goes into a push and like doesn't really have a job until 10, and he's like no push, no hold, even though covering early was fine. You know, just awkward.
Did you see my KC at the end?
Yeah, look, it was probably unideal, but that's like, that doesn't really matter, right?
Nope.
And realistically, I don't think you need heals anymore this game.
I was focusing the Dark Trolls, and then I noticed that we are close to losing a heal, and then I tried with Immo together to hit the Fermits to let them die earlier. And then I found out that the Dark Trolls are doing more damage than the Ferbs, and I switched back, and we lost a heal barely. That was unnecessary, but they go -4.
Yeah, luckily KC is not a big consideration. Sorry, that was my door opening for God knows why.
Well, I talked to Monkey Town and asked him how can I become a better player in FBG, and he told me that one important part to become a better player is KCing, like leading the game and calling. So what I can do, in my opinion, what I'm good at is calling, and and if we have players that need help, I can help them. That's no problem.
Yeah.
But king controlling is not my strength.
That's like, look, I agree that I think that's a good way to get elo.
Yep.
I think it's not actually the way to become like a better player necessarily. Because for me, it's like the way you build and the way you read the game, that's like how you are as a player, right? You don't really need to be calling. You don't really need to be KCing to be a good player, right? Generally, the best ones do, but not always.
Yeah, there's also
So you reroll now?
No. Yeah, I rerolled. I placed the second LOD
like that
and
timing.
rerolled.
If you got something better than LOD, you could sell the LOD for it. So yeah, it's good reroll timing there, because you didn't really need anything else from your roll.
Yeah, exactly.
The only consideration would be like maybe you want to keep mutants, but I mean, it's probably like not necessary this game.
No.
Seems if you just like force an early ascend, they're on 0 heals. The game really shouldn't go to 17. And even if it does, you really shouldn't need mutants on your lane. So yeah, I like the reroll timing. That way, if you get like Dark Priest or something, maybe you sell that LOD.
My intention was more looking for ads. Of course.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you're looking for ads, then you would, if like you were just looking for ads, then you could reroll later.
True.
Right, and drop some like drop a flying machine or drop some scientists first, because they can be used as ads.
Yep.
So the reason to drop on 8 instead of on 9 is because maybe I sell the LOD. Because if you 100% of the time have 2 Hades or want 2 Hades, then there's no reason to reroll then, and you can just wait a bit longer before rerolling.
Okay.
But it's if you get, I guess it would probably be exactly Dark Priest or maybe Hydra. Yeah,
or
Dark Priest or
Butcher.
Hydra, I could see.
Butcher?
I'd still go 2 Hades. Well, yeah, look, there are a few things you could sell the LOD for, so it makes sense to reroll there, because the ads you're going to drop were, like, not impressive. It's better than, like, dropping is better than not dropping, but you don't lose much for not dropping. Pretty substandard ads there. Anyway, get Dark Mage, build Dark Mage here, it's all fine. Obviously, it's the best ad you have for 10.
Yeah.
Hades just likes that DPS, so Dark Mage, good DPS. I guess you're just deciding if you're going to send or skip. I mean, that's totally fine. You can kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah. The issue that we are good on 10, but we have 0 king.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then the question is skip, maybe, and...
Yeah, like, I'm not going to stress too much about the calls this game, because realistically, I think at this point you could kind of do anything.
Yeah. But I want to improve in calling, and... yeah, you cannot always be right, and not every call is good, but if you, let's say, you manage that maybe 80 or 90% of your calls are good, then it's good enough.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, calling's all about information, so if you want me to talk about that a bit more in the next couple of replays, I can do that.
Yeah, and most of the callers, they left FPG and went to Lille.
Fair enough. Okay, they skip as well, so that means that it's probably going to end up 12.
Good guess. Yeah, both teams
Not always,
are skipping.
but it just means that with both teams skipping, both teams are weak. You guys have 2 heals, but you have Immolation and double LD lanes, which aren't very good on 12. You also are sharing 2 bosses between 3 lanes, which is not ideal for having actual holders on 12. And then they have 0 heals.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Also, blue stayed really low, like 7-2. That's a bumper then, if they don't send.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really get rewarded at all for the way he played this game, but
and I called,
except for level 1, but it doesn't really matter.
And I called attack on the end of level 9, so we did like 12 ups on the king.
That's all fine. You're skipping, you figured you'd probably need a little bit, and you appreciate the income, nothing wrong with that. Anyway, so you can basically make the decision, do you want to go pre-buffed outcasts, or do you want to go Thunderbirds for 12? I don't think it makes that much difference. I'd put them approximately in the same tier. Probably with the Helicopter and the Dark Mage, I'd go Thunderbird.
Yes.
Just thinking about it.
I'm also going Thunderbirds now, and I also learned that...
I also don't like the placement very much, because you know it's for 12. So the Thunderbirds, because it's a range level, the Thunderbirds are all going to walk in front of the Hades. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Now they're just going to walk further. So you may as well, of course, put them right behind the Hades so they have less distance to walk before they start attacking.
Okay.
Melee level, that placement makes sense, because then they're more likely to like sit on top of the Hades. And that's kind of where you want them, not walking all the way in front. But range level, they're never going to sit on top of the Hades. It's just not going to happen. So
I had this issue when I had LOD and Warlocks.
Yep.
And the game went 15 and I was super confident. I had like 4k value. I had 3 Hades and like 8 up Warlocks in the back. And then suddenly, during 15, all my Hades were on this side, where all my
Yep.
Warlocks were running like here, because they have less range or equal range. And they all get sniped and dying. And I wasn't mid. And that's...
Yeah, specifically, I'd say with things like Warlock and Revenant that are a bit squishy, I want that protecting. With a unit like Hades, where they're going to walk in front a lot of the time, what you can do is you can just overload the flanks. So if you have like 3 Hades where your Hades are,
Mm.
and then on like the 4th square, you start building Warlocks. Like,
Ah,
yep, so one more
here.
square to the left, you like start Warlocks there,
Okay.
and then fully build them out to that side, right?
Okay, you
What's going to
mean
happen is
then
if they're
you
a
mean
little
like
ways
this, yeah?
back, yeah, and then in a straight line as
Mm.
well at some point, right? So like
Mm.
back, and then straight. If they're a little further behind the Hades, what will happen is if you have the fast descends, they'll walk over to the side where the Hades are,
Mm.
and then the Warlocks will just hit anything that's in range of them, right? So
Mm.
anything that comes to attack them that's in range of them will probably get killed fairly quickly. And that's how you can like overload one of the flanks of your build, right? With like enough damage, where it's essentially becomes the damage is your tankiness, because anything that comes to actually attack you just gets killed pretty quick, right?
Mm. Ah, I
You can do
see.
it that
I
way.
see. So
So
that
if you have a fast send, they'll go to the Hades. If you have a slower send, yeah, they might go to the Warlocks, but hey, at least you had a slow send, so you're probably okay.
that means by building warlocks, for example, here in a diagonal line, you overload the left flank, right?
Yep, but you need them further behind and further to the left. That makes sense. So
Like
instead of
here on
like
the
Warlocks next to the Dark Mages,
here.
yep, and then out to the left, and probably after like 4 spots, you might start to go in like just a horizontal line then, rather
Yeah,
than going
yeah.
further and further backwards, where they're going to start splitting.
Splitting,
Because
yeah.
if you do that, you have to be careful about split.
Yep.
But you can do that. I think Warlocks and Revenants, and then Hellraisers on 14 are like the 3 units I would probably consider doing that with the most.
Okay.
But yeah, otherwise it should be pretty chilled. I talked about that in the tournament cast of I think it was like the 50-minute game, the 33 whatever game. Remember talking about that, I think like level 9. Maybe it was the semi-final. I don't know. It was one of them.
I watched 2 of the casts from the tournament.
Yeah, maybe next time Red Rum won't TK me out of the tournament on the first day. Maybe.
No. No. I watched only the casts, I think.
Yeah.
But I watched some of the games as well because I wanted to check why the teams I thought have potential to go to the finals, for example, why they are out.
Yeah. Oh, look, in the end for us, it was like hard bracket. Got unlucky the first game, won the second game, and the third game was close. That's just how it is.
Yeah,
The only game that felt bad to lose was the first game. Third game was like, yeah, fine. Both teams played well. They played a little better, or they ended up with a little better roles. Whatever you want to blame it on doesn't really matter at that point.
I wasn't playing the third game, so there we lost. We had no chance. We had no chance in that game, and it was not because I was not playing. But we won the first game pretty hard, and then the second game we had like a break moment where we were winning and had a heal advantage after 7 versus Immo, so that feels pretty good.
Yeah.
They are standing here, by the way. And then someone from the enemy team DCs, and we give the remake, and then we lose, and that kind of break our mentality a bit.
Yeah, it's no good. Yeah, as you can see, the Thunderbirds go in front of the Hades here because they got less range. That's always going to happen, so you may as well just give them slightly less distance to walk. That being said, doesn't make much difference. Because the thing is, because you got the imps are going to be the first to die always, then the Thunderbirds, then the Hades, then the Diabolics, like this, right? There's no real way to change that.
Yep.
you know, that's all fine. If this, I like how they're doing that like X pattern on the attacks there, which doesn't make any sense. It's just kind of amusing. Anyway, obviously, like, you do fine. Team doesn't die, blah blah blah. They rip because 0 heals. Pretty simple game. But yeah, I mean, it was relatively fine. Don't think there was really much. I think there were like a couple of different ways you could have played it in terms of how much you're pushing. You definitely had an option to keep your first roll and be like 7-4 for 10.
Mm-hmm.
Played a bit differently, but whether it was better or not is, you know, not really. It's not easy to say, and the way you played it, I think, was fine, had upside, and executed fine, so it was a pretty good game.
Yep. So,
Next one.
yeah, give me a second.